Hey folks, this is Kelani, and welcome to my jeweler guide. Now, jeweler is probably one of the easier trade skill crafting. What are we calling this? Trade skill crafting? Yeah, it's probably one of the easier ones, as you're focusing essentially on your metals. You obviously have your jewels as well, but the majority of these will come from mining nodes and they're being in the node. The other large source of jewels that I know I found was the hidden caches in trees. So when you cut down trees, you get a hidden cache, open it up, there's a gem. Obviously a few elementals have a tendency to drop certain gems, so you can get your gems from a variety of sources. The jeweler icon, as you would expect, is a little jewel. Just about to see that if I move out of the way. There we go. These are located around the world, but there will always be one in the capital. Lion's Arch is probably your best bet. So obviously if you want to become a jeweler, just happily talk to the master jeweler here, Isabel, and she'll sort you out. She'll get you right. So jewelers use metals for the settings, bands, etc, 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 and then obviously they use the jewels and gems for the stone. Now depending on which jewel you use, and you can see these on the gems itself, they will give different stats. So opal all the way through will be magic find, precision, power. Sunstone, power, magic find. As we get higher we go into 3. The ones at the start only have the 1, and then you go through to 2, and then we end up at 3. I've actually flogged everything besides a couple, as I am not in need of them. Rubies are power, precision and crit. We don't want to enter that. Sapphire, healing, power, toughness, etc. So depending on what you want, you can have a play about with these. Now the leveling process is a little awkward, I suppose, but depending on what you're leveling this with, I would recommend once again using your refinement until you don't get experience from it. So when you're knocking about with copper, you want to copper until you just can't get experience from copper. That's going to get you the most experience from your materials. Same with silver, gold, platinum and mithril when you get to it. So as for your main chunk of leveling between these metals, you're going to be making, shock horror, jewellery. Now you can make earrings, which count as accessories, rings, which are rings, necklaces, can't make bags. It's the only one in that little area on your toon. Yeah. So you can make all of these. Can't make that. That's someone else entirely. Don't you worry about that. The curious thing is that some of these gems actually count as upgrades for your armor. And these are the end ones. As you can see, I actually put an opal orb into my head. So they have a variety of uses, and the nice thing is you can see these transmogrifies. You can actually, using the dust, you can bump up or combine lower gems or jewels and eventually get them up. So if you started with enough of the lowest tier right down here and you had enough dust, you can actually make them all into the orbs. It's a very long-winded way of doing it, but there we go. So while you're leveling, the main thing that I suggest is that you plan, because these are components and they only work in a certain order. Say if you made 5 settings, 5 hooks and 5 chains, you wouldn't actually be able to make 10 items because you need a setting per hook, chain or band. So I'll just show you quickly how this can pan out. 1 setting for 1 hook, 1 setting for 1 chain, 1 setting for 1 band. Filigree is something completely different, and we'll get onto that in a little while. But when you're discovering, you simply drag your hook, your setting and your gem. Now this will give us a plain earring. So Yeah, it's not too difficult to figure out. The fun thing is, when you get to mithril filigree, you can stop doing that completely, or to a point at least, and you focus on your filigrees. Now, with a filigree, what you do, I will have already discovered these sadly, but you simply put your filigree into the discovery with a gem, and you'll end up with this, a brilliant ruby jewel. These are upgrade components for your jewellery. Now, I'll go ahead and create one of those, and you can see they don't appear there. I've probably discovered it, which is kind of sad. But I swear it gave me all the recipes when I hit 400. You can see that we can use the brilliant ruby jewel with the hook and setting to make a ruby mithril earring of the berserker. Not bad. You can see that already has the upgrade on it. So this is going to be the majority of your experience. As soon as you get to filigree, you want to filigree with your jewels. Every jewel you have available, you want to filigree jewel, filigree jewel, filigree jewel, and then you want to attach hook setting. Now, I use hook setting a lot because hook actually uses the least material. Hook uses 2, chain uses 4, and band uses 3. So, if you're looking to get the most out of it, I mean, I didn't really make any bands or chains simply because I got the levels I required with hooks. It just makes using the metals so much easier. So we'll go ahead and make one of those. And yeah, the main thing I like about this system is that if you use the upgrade component with the necklace, it gives you the full thing. It's a nice way to do it. And you're going to see huge leaps and bounds with experience when you start using filigree jewel with your components. Now obviously you can chop and change this if you've got surplus metals. If you have, say, surplus metal but only a few jewels or a lot of jewels of the same kind, you're going to actually want to mess about with these more than messing about with discoveries, because, or rather different jewels discoveries, because creating the same item over and over is not going to give you the best experience. So if you had all rubies and plenty of metal, you get a lot more experience from chain setting to make a necklace with it, and then hook setting to make an earring with it, and then band setting to make a ring with it, than you would if you just made however many earrings, because the discovery is going to give you the most experience. I can't stress that enough. With every trade skill, the discovery is giving so much more experience than creating the recipe itself. I honestly found dueling to be a lot easier than weaponsmithing. A lot easier. Now, this might be because obviously gold and silver, wherever they are. Where am I gold and silver? There. Gold and silver. They weren't used for weaponsmithing, and they're only used for jeweler and artificer. So the precious metals are so easy to come by. I mean, silver ore on the trading post right now is 5 copper. 5-6 copper. That's so unbelievably cheap that as soon as you hit silver, you're going to snowball into gold, and gold is on for about 20-30. So again, it's really cheap, so you're going to snowball straight to mithril, and this is only if you don't get enough while out leveling. I was leveling with a few friends, and obviously some of them didn't need their silver or gold, so I happily pinched all of that and they got my cloth in return. So doing a swapperoo like that is kind of nice. It's nice to play with other people, but yeah, just plan ahead. One setting per, not sure what to call them really, but one setting per hook, chain or band. Accessory, potentially, but remember that you're doing a 1-to-1 ratio for setting with all of these. You don't want to end up with like stupid amounts of hooks and chains lying around because you didn't have enough metal to finish your settings. So plan ahead, look at where you're going, and if you're going to try and do this in the most efficient way possible, you need to plan ahead like a boss. So you want to potentially plot out how much experience you expect to get from what. That way, any surplus materials you can just flog on the trading post or use for any other crafting. It just makes it a lot easier. Once again, if you have any comments or anything to ask, any queries, any suggestions, blah 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 blah, just if you want to talk to me, leave it in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Obviously my jeweler is maxed, so if there's any questions that you want to ask about the dueling at max, feel free. The one thing that does annoy me is that you require, let's just find out where this is, earring. You require 3 of your upgrade component to make an earring. Now that wouldn't be too bad, except each upgrade component requires an orb and a glob of ectoplasm. So you require 3 orbs and 3 globs rather, not globes, of ectoplasm, as well as, that's the wrong one. If I was making this properly, they would be orichalcum. Yeah, orichalcum. But orichalcum. With orichalcum, because he uses quite a lot of orichalcum as well. It's filigree. Yeah, it's the filigree. Oh, orichalcum, the bane of my existence right now. Needs to be more. But yeah. So if you do have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comments below. I hope this was informative. I hope it helped with anyone who's looking to be a jeweler. I definitely enjoyed this one. Being able to make 5 pieces of gear out of your gear set is really nice. That's on par with the armor smith. Almost. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, have fun. I'll see you next time. For the last leap, while we limp there, head around this way and straight up.